Paul, I'm so excited to have this conversation with you about what I call the making of eBay, Paul, because I've known you, what do you think, 20 years, maybe more?
I met you 2004, 2005 at the Triangle Business Builders meeting that don't think you were running at the time, but you started running it shortly after that. And I was freshly out of corporate world of 25, 24 years of IT work, trying to get a auto detailing business going. Yep.
Paul, you're now, I view as one of the top experts on understanding how to sell on eBay and work with eBay. You train people on it. You've been brought to Washington, D.C., twice by eBay to meet with
Twice.
representatives,
Yes.
and California a few times at the main office, and really earn the respect of the main office in eBay, rightfully. We did an event in Raleigh, bringing them in, speaking. So I'd say you kind of earned some real respect in this domain of eBay.
Yes, what was also exciting, and I don't mean to toot my own horn and brag and stuff, but I got a shout out from the CEO of eBay in Vegas. They had a big live event out there. I couldn't make it, unfortunately. He gave me a shout out on the keynote when he was doing his keynote speaking, saying I've been an eBay seller for 24 years. So that was really, really exciting.
Yeah, and we've co-developed a course on selling online, making money online while you sleep, but you have to be awake to start. And the goal is in the new year to have a self-paced one as well. So a
Yes.
lot of things going on. But I want to talk about something that you're very generous in discussing is where you were before that. And I'd like to bring up a wonderful story of a failure in a training class with you. I know it has good memories, but I think it was a cornerstone because we were good friends and you would come with me to teach eBay and did an excellent job while we were training together. I mean, we did numerous courses and then an emergency occurred. And of course, I had to take care of my parents. I said, could you fill in? It's a new training situation. Go out there and handle it. And then when you went out and handled it, I got a call from them that they were furious with you and they thought you didn't know what you're talking about. And they were like madder than fire. Now, understand it was just a perfect storm of bad things, but talk about a little bit that, because to me, I think that was a turning point in you ramping up and kind of understanding I might need to reinvent myself so that people appreciate the value I actually have.
Right. I was pretty knee high to grasshoppers with training people in front of classrooms and stuff then, to be honest with you. I appreciate you trusting me with that. But it was just, I think you're right. I think it was the perfect storm. I think there was some stuff going on behind the scenes and stuff with everything. But yeah, it's something I try and forget about, to be honest with you. But you're right. It was a turning point in my I guess my new career of online selling. I remember I felt defeated and just awful, and you helped me through that, which I really appreciate that. I remember I called you that night. Oh wait, that was the night when I left my. Oh, there's a whole story here now. I remember that was the night when he was furious at me. We'll just leave his name out of it, and he escorted me out of the building, and then I left my keys in the building, so I was trying to get out really fast. And you had to you had to run up there, get the keys from my wife, and then run up to the school and give me the keys to the car. Oh, it was just a great uplifting experience.
But
So glad to
there's
become an alcoholic after that, to be honest
that's
with you.
that's
But
right. That's right. Think we share something in common backing up even further because I didn't realize it, but I was really good in instilling doubt in people. And it was something I think we had different upbringings, but somehow we had similar problems. When I was working at IBM, I kind of had a scientist mentality where I would say, well, I think this is right, and I'm not sure, and I think it through. And then people would take my idea away from me and they'd implement it, and I wouldn't get credit. And yours, you've shared, is surviving a pretty tough upbringing with parents that had a challenge with alcohol. And so you to me created a survival mechanism of not being threatening at all, but to the extreme of it also seemed to not instill confidence, even when you knew what you were doing.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I grew up. My dad was an alcoholic. He died an alcoholic. He was a very successful musician. We always had a roof over our heads and food on the table and stuff, but he just wasn't there mentally. And my mom was trying to deal with my brother with some mental issues and stuff like that. And it was just a time. It was the '60s and '70s where people weren't aware of all the stuff that we're aware of today. With mental illness and stuff like that. Um, and it just I mean, coming home every day and not knowing what was going to happen. You couldn't invite friends over. So I think that's where I developed all that. And I'm 65 years old, and I'm like a textbook example of of a child of an alcoholic. Because I find myself even today going, I'm sorry for nothing. I have no idea. I used to do the Toastmasters a lot when we were in Toastmasters. It's just a defense mechanism. But yeah, and then I went to therapy for a while, and that was great. That was good. There's nothing wrong with that. And at the end of the sessions, the therapist said, you're the man you are because of your childhood. And I went, huh? And she goes, yeah, you took your childhood and you didn't continue it. You broke the chain and you learned from it. And I was like, wow, that's really powerful. And you played a big part in this too, Martin. I mean, let's be honest. You took me under your wing when we met, and I fixed that generator for you, and you helped me out with that kind of stuff. And you've always been there. You've tolerated my craziness and stuff like that. So I have to give a lot of credit to you. We've done a lot of great classes together. We did the Mobile Tech Expo a couple of years, and it was good.
Thank you. And it was mutual. I mean, it's a great friendship. We've helped each other. You've tolerated me too. But the key I want to get under that is we both built identities for survival when we were younger that didn't fulfill the needs of being adults. So we needed to come up with something new. And for me, this kind of self doubt and question, I'm not sure all the origins, but I know it didn't work in commanding authority, commanding respect, but did great work. And so then I realized I kind of have to reinvent who I am. Now, we can only make so many core changes, but I think we both did that to some degree. And yours, to me, one of the cornerstones was that event. I said, Paul, I don't understand this because you're so good. In fact, I told him, I said, look, he's the guy I went to learn about eBay, which of course made things worse. And then, long story short, with that event is I talked to him. I said, what does it take to clean it up? Let me offer you a free training. And I did. I gave him free training, and we've all become friends afterwards. So just so you know, if you make a mistake, clean it up. And you worked with me on that too. But the key thing is, sometimes we have to invent a character to live out of to get away from our past. That's why, Paul, this idea of being yourself, I think it's a bunch of crap, because being myself was built by like a 5-year-old in reaction to something. And yours was in survival mode. Things are crazy. I need to ball up and stay invisible.
Right, right. Yeah, yeah. And it was funny because in all my years of IT, I never that never held me back as far as getting promotions and getting another job and moving up the ladder. But the minute I became self-employed, whew, let the demons out. Just every self-doubt, paranoia of not making enough money. And I had support from my wife, from you, from my friends, even when I made mistakes. It just it was I never knew it was there until I had to really step up and make you know be myself.
But I view self employment as probably the greatest personal development training you can go through. Because think of your life if you had not been forced to address that stuff.
Right.
You would have gotten by, it would have been a fine life. but all the things you've accomplished, you probably wouldn't have been on the radar for eBay and other things like you were. I mean, you might have, but we don't know. And that's important to understand because some people, to me, that identity they built as a child, sadly, they go through their whole life with it. They never have to invent a new them to live out of.
Right.
And I actually kind of feel sorry for them. It's working enough. They don't have to create something because I think you'd admit, and I certainly would, the rebuilding of who I am and what I'm going to identify with is it's like a point in my life where things just took off and it's a much richer experience of a life than I had before. Not that it was not good before, but look at what happened after that time. I mean, I want to introduce, we came up with the idea of let's call the Paul that showed up at that meeting little Paul, and then let's call the Paul you want to be more of eBay Paul. And that was, and we worked together on it, but you really came up with that. And now you're stepping into character of eBay Paul.
What this has taught me is, I mean, there is a side of me and it is very caring and very compassionate to others and showing them how to do online selling and just in general, just being a caring person and letting that out has really let me blossom into who I am today, to be honest with you. And I didn't know that was there in me, to be honest, just with all my upbringing. And I know your childhood's your childhood, you leave it where it's at, but it makes you who you are, fortunately. And like you said, fortunately and unfortunately, that's just, you can take that and have that define you for the rest of your life, or you can change it. And I think that's what I've done.
Yes, I think so too. I believe that when we transform our poisons into honey of our childhood, that's
Perfect.
where the greatest life and experience occurs. And it's not the only way, but that's to me what you've done. I mean, you would have, if you had not been forced to get out of that automatic way of being yourself that was built as a child trying to survive alcoholic environment, not having someone help you out with things, and others, you probably would have never had the experiences you're talking about. And so that's when you stepped into eBay Paul, and we talked about this, and then you looked at what do I need to develop that, and you picked Toastmasters of all things. I mean, the one thing many people, what is it? They'd rather jump out of a parachute, jump out of an airplane with a parachute than do public speaking.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That was a real, and thanks to a lot of friends like you and a bunch of other people that were in Toastmasters for a while and told me I need to get into Toastmasters, and I didn't listen to them. I don't know who would not listen to that. And I finally did, and it really brought me to another level. To be honest with you, with speaking, I feel much more comfortable with speaking. The whole key. I'm not saying this is the only thing you need to do, but you need to know your material before you go up there, because if you don't know it, then you're gonna, like that first class I did that I messed up on. You're gonna stammer and everything, and it's gonna make you more paranoid. But Toastmasters was a real stepping stone to where I am now. And I really owe a lot to Toastmasters. And like someone said when I first joined, you're going to develop friendships in Toastmasters. And I was like, man, friendship. And I did for all the time I was in Raleigh. It was really a great experience. I need to get into one of them down here.
Again, the Toastmasters came out of stepping into eBay Paul, and then what's the next thing? And that's why I want to bring it is the idea of in building the adult version of you. One, the little you never goes away. Like you said, sometimes something will happen and you just automatically apologize,
Right.
but that doesn't go away. But I'm not sure we want it to go away because that's kind of a reminder of who we were. It's like we need to forgive and embrace that little version of us, but not let go of it.
Right. I agree. I think that's a great point you brought up there, because it's so true. People want to forget about it. And it's important to remember that, because it's great to go back and go, wow, look how far I've come, or hey, I'm doing this again. Stop that.
Yeah, and you can't change the past, but you can change your relationship to it, your perspective on it. And I watched you do that. I mean, one thing I think you reconnected to that was valuable is through all this chaos and off being picked on at school. You talked about balling up and stuff and not really feeling you could fight. And but one thing that along that occurred is there were some men in the area that did auto stuff. And you kind of went and learned about auto. And that's one of the gifts I saw in you is, my gosh, this guy's better with a small engine than anyone I ever saw. And I think if you hadn't invented the eBay Paul and developed it, you may not have appreciated that as much.
Right, exactly. And if those and these were neighbors you're talking about, and if those neighbors weren't there, I don't know where I'd be today, to be honest with you. They took me under their wing, and they really got me through some interesting times in my childhood. And I wish I could go back and thank them, to be honest with you, but they've all passed on, and I never really. I was in a weird phase of my life back then, as a teenager when I moved out and got married. And I wish I would have thanked them back then. So if you've got anybody in your life that's making a difference in your life, please just say thank you verbally, whatever, a letter, whatever, because it really means a lot to that person. And I never did that, but yeah, they taught me a lot, and I really, really appreciate that.
These are some of the components of this of building eBay Paul. And to me, in mine is okay, so this is what I say my life's about. Then what's the appropriate actions I should take? And then understanding that in my case, the little Martin or Marty, as it would be, is never going to go away. The idea is I think many of us let the little version of us drive the bus, and the goal is to love and forgive them and have them sit on the sidelines. They can look out the window, but let a new version of you get in charge of the bus.
Right, and that's not not as easy as that is. It takes a lot of work to do that, and like you said, we've said several times, we're constantly reminded of that from past memories and stuff that's happened. But you just got to keep on going forward and have supportive people around you. It's not easy, but it can be done. If I can do it, anyone can do it. So
Yeah, but you had to pick the version of you to start living out of. Now others might find another method, but I think that was the most powerful because we kept talking about eBay Paul and it gave you a character. And this is when I came up with this, I then started to notice that a lot of performers who often will say they're introverts invented an identity to step in to be successful. In fact, one I talk about in my training often is David Bowie, because he even talked about that later in life. He says, I'm an extreme introvert, so I invented Ziggy Stardust to get on stage.
right, right, and you'll find that with a lot of entertainers. I know, a lot of the DJs you hear that are real popular nationwide, they are very, very introverted people, and that's an identity for their job that they created. It's amazing because you think these people are, oh, they're just as crazy as they are in person as they are on the air, and they're not.
Yeah. And the difference is when you intentionally build it, you have control over it versus just kind of be thrown into success where it's sort of made for you and you really didn't build it. That's why, to me, the eBay Paul you created has sustainability and is healthy versus one where you just have amazing success overnight. And that's where I think we see the destructive behaviors occurring in performance.
Yeah, I agree. I agree, and I've even seen it with a lot of the online resellers that I know. They kind of fall into it because they got a whole trailer load of clothes and they made all this money off of it, and then when they're done with that, they're just okay. Now what do I do? And they're not learning, like we say in our classes. You got to make the slow money. You got to make mistakes. You got to have failures. You got to have, gosh, I just spent $200 on this item and it's not selling. You got to move on and get rid of it and find something else. I've seen that a lot, and those sellers are no longer there. I mean, they've moved on to something else or whatever. I mean, yeah, it's it can be interesting.
Well, that leads to us talking about building the what I call the unstoppable muscle, because I think you've really built it in the eBay area. And that's you've got to do things in the world and push hard enough. There's a chance of real failure. Otherwise, you'll never build real confidence. And you've done that many times where you went for something and it didn't work. And then you went, okay, all right, what am I about, and then get back on the horse again and again. And I think one of the missing pieces is if people get stuck in analysis of a paralysis of analysis and they don't push enough to have a chance of failure. I can't say this enough. We learn from our failure. We build confidence from our failure. Now, that doesn't mean you want to spend $5,000 and take huge risks. You want micro risks and then notice what occurred and build that muscle of, okay, I failed here. I'm not a failure. What occurred? So if you don't give yourself room to fail, you won't really build confidence. And I've seen you do that, build that real confidence in the selling domain.
Right. Let me give you a very, hopefully, a quick story. As you all know, we've done Mobile Tech Expo several years. I've been going to it's an auto detailing expo down in Orlando. Every January they have it. And I've been doing that, going there since 2003 when I had my auto detailing business. And 2010, I finally shut that down after getting through 2008. And I went back and everybody's like, kind of like admiring me. Like, I'm like, well, what's going on? What's going on? And I finally found out that I'm able to pivot. Okay, that didn't work, so I pivoted to online selling, and then we were doing the classes at Mobile Tech Expo MTE, and that was a real. I earned a lot of, not that I was trying to get respect or anything, but I mean I earned a lot of respect from everybody there because I was able to pivot onto something else, and many people can't do that, and it wasn't easy. I'm not saying it was. I just you know, turned over. A very other quick story that involves you was way back in the day. You actually were responsible for me getting started in this when I was working at uh, the Big W, the big Walmart there at night, and you kept on pestering me, saying you could make more money selling on eBay. And I was like, yeah, what does this guy know? What does he know? So you gave me something. What was her name? The cassette tape thing, the Lucid, whatever, the anxiety tapes. There had like
Oh,
80
that's right. That's right. After my practice marriage ends, someone
I mean,
gave me a whole set of
it
how to handle anxiety, and it
was like
was so
80 cassettes.
intimidating. I never opened it. It was
Well,
like a
honestly, and
box
I think it
set.
was like one of my first items I sold on eBay, and we did a consignment deal, 50-50 split, and it sold for like $85 or something or whatever it was, and I went, "Oh, wow. This might be the road I need to go down." And I still was resistive, because it's me to be resistive. But that was the first thing. That was the first sale. Lucinda Bassett. Oh, Lucinda Bassett, I think it was. The tapes were, I think. But yeah, that was my. You got to pivot, and it's not easy, and it's not. Like when I moved here down to Florida last year, like reestablishing myself, it was a real test. I'll be honest with you. I was delayed in getting my stuff. The moving van waited. I had to wait 30 days. All my inventory was on the van. My store was on vacation mode, which means it's you really can't see it on eBay. It's kind of on the side, so that means you're not getting any search results. It's almost like starting over again. Then I got all my stuff. I had to reorganize it, and it was really tough, to be honest with you, to reestablish. I thought I wasn't going to get it going. But I did finally. It took a lot of mental work, and thank God my wife was supportive, and hearing me complain a lot. But yeah, so I think I'm back on track now, hopefully. But yeah, there's some of the few stories. Just you got to be able to pivot. It's just the way it is today, especially with the job market the way it is. You don't know what's going to happen. You have to be able to pivot, whether it be in your career or starting a business.
The other thing is finding out what your best skills are. What's the return on investment of you? And that's something I think you've learned through this process of, look, I've made myself into a pretty good teacher, but I'm also really good as a what I call a hunter of deals in eBay. In fact, the funny story is we remember we went up to my reunion party and we went to my aunt's house because you're terrific to travel with because you can stay awake when I would fall asleep driving. So, and we go into the house and you're scouting out that could sell on eBay. And I think she was wondering, is he casing my house or what?
Well, even they thought I was casing the house. I said, no, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm just looking like as I'm like walking around, I'm picking up things going, oh, God. Oh my God, that house was a treasure. Oh my God. There was so much stuff in that house. Yeah, I do that a lot. I do that a lot. Now, my big thing right now is I just drive around my little gated community here every trash day and find things, vacuum cleaners and stuff. I do a lot of parting out of things, which I really, really, really enjoy. And I'm trying to actually move into just parting out things because they're smaller parts, and I'm not dealing with, oh, I sold a mug today. Oh, I sold whatever a huge item the next day. I'm trying to keep it kind of consistent. But I just drive around every trash day, and you can throw anything you want in the trash here, which is great. There's no like bulk pickup day or something, and I pick up vacuum cleaners. I just found I'd show you on my phone, but it's a very, 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 very expensive chair that looks like it's in pretty decent shape. I'm going to call one of my contacts that I know from auto detailing. He's in England and he's a leather specialist. So I'm going to see if I can maybe condition some of the leather back again and see if I can. I might even try and sell it on eBay. I've got a pretty good connection with the local postage place here and see if they can pack it for me.
That's just fantastic. But the thing is finding that skill. See, that's a skill you have, just like finding the ability to take things apart and solve small engine repairs. And often we can't see those. It was like I watched you work on something. I went, Paul, I've never seen someone that good at a small engine. And see, we often take for granted those gifts and need someone else. And in fact, in coaching, that's I think one of my gifts is hearing people's gifts and helping them draw it out. But
Right.
that was something I think you weren't aware of until I went, Paul, you're really good at this. Let's make money
Yeah.
at it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the mechanical side, like, like working on cars and stuff like that. Yeah, I'm pretty good at, but the finding of deals when I'm out there, I honestly don't know how I got that in me. Probably from watching a few people I knew back in the day to what to look for, and it's just I don't know. It's just part of me now. So no matter where I go, picking up stuff to sell. It's just amazing what I see around. So I guess that's part of just survival. You know my survival technique from being a kid. I guess that didn't work, so let me try something else.
Yes. Again, that's taking the wounds and transforming them
Yes.
versus living out of them. That's why you really have to be careful when you're blaming a lot of people for things. Okay, how can I turn this around? How can I make this give a utility? I remember there was a place called Animal Preservation Trust, or I forgot the name, but they took in endangered tigers that people were trying to have as pets that would have been put down, and they worked with them. Mike Blyman, I talked to him one day and I said, how do you handle all that's gone on? And he says, well, I was blessed. I was beaten so severely as a child. I have a high threshold pain. I went, what? but he had scars all over his body from the tigers. Okay. But it gave him that was transforming that into something usable. Now, most people would think, my gosh, being severely beaten as a child's a good thing, but it's not that it's a good thing. It's he took that and turned it into something better. It's not
E-
that the activity is never okay. It's just how you change your relationship to it.
exactly, exactly. And I think, unfortunately, I mean, for he didn't get beaten, but I mean, I think that's exactly what he did, and that's exactly what I did. I took everything I went through in my childhood and went, I'm better than this. I mean, like I'll never forget. uh, Gosh, I must have been in first grade because I was in Catholic school, sitting there after school in my little tie, at the kitchen table eating something and just going, I'm not living like this. In first or second grade, I'm not. This isn't going to be me when I get older.
Yeah.
It's pretty powerful. I mean, and I remember, I remember exactly the room, what was in the room, what was on the table. I mean, so it was a real pivoting moment there for me, right there. Now, did I stray away from that every once in a while and, maybe drink a little too much for a while, but whatever. We all we all have these things, but it got me back because I'll never forget that, you know?
And those are the cornerstone moments. And what occurs is, in my view, is if we just operate on those, then things we can work out okay, but that's the automatic identity. That's why the idea of be yourself to me is a tragedy, because it is going to be this generally that first automated version of us developed as a child. And then as an adult, okay, what do I want my life to be about? How am I going to feed that? And what you've done with eBay has helped really thousands of people you don't even know, that they were empowered and they went, I could do this too.
Right. Or you just be you. I mean, what I mean, just everybody's trying to be fake. I mean, not everybody, but a lot of people are trying to be fake today with what they're doing. Oh, I'm making $1,000 a week on eBay and all this other stuff. But then you find out his wife's a doctor, his wife's a lawyer. Wait a minute, he's living off a trust fund. Wait a minute, just be you. I have a YouTube channel. I'm me. When I have a bad week of sales, when I make hardly nothing on something, I say, hey, look, I sold this pen. It should have sold for $20, but it only sold for $3. Just be you. I don't understand. I can't be nothing else but me. And sometimes it's not the greatest thing to be me. Sometimes because you know my childhood comes out, but it's much easier to live just being you. To be honest with you.
Well, I want to address that because I don't think it's just being you. It's in you in the context of eBay, Paul, because there was a just being you before that that instilled doubt and question. So I really want to say that's where I challenge the word just be you. Okay. Because it's the context of eBay Paul that creates the container to allow that authentic version to come. That's why just being authentic, I think, isn't enough. It's authentic inside your commitment of being of service is eBay Paul. And that's the where I think the misunderstood, because there's a just be me that whines and complains a lot. I really don't need to share with the world on a regular basis. Barbara knows it, or oh my gosh, somebody said something negative about me or something. I need to get that poison out and go back to my commitment. So that's why I really want to be cautious when people hear just be you. No, it's you in the context of a commitment, and that's what you did.
Very good point. And that's, yes, you're right. I should be a little bit more clearer on that. That's exactly what I did. I wasn't just being me. Very listen to that what he just said, people, because that's very very important.
That's where the misunderstanding, young people see it. It's like, it's sort of like in the men's work, whatever makes her happy is bad advice. You need to do what's best as dad and do what's best for the relationship and the greater good. So that's why I think this is important to bring up, is this is my challenge to be yourself. Because what happens is our marketing system wants to seduce you into everything's fine, just buy more of us and then you'll be somebody. And if you don't invent you to interject that, it will suck you in and then say, well, if you just have this, this, and this, you'll be someone. The problem is you'll never be someone because you're always becoming. You have to choose, who are you, and then start building the evidence and collecting that evidence over time. And like you said, this is like carving granite more than some type of happy personal development training. This is real work, but the payoff, Paul, I think you and I would agree, is a profound life that we probably wouldn't have had if we didn't do that work.
Exactly. And you bring up a good point, and I think that's the problem with social media today. People are just sucked in, and they don't know who they are. They're just trying to find who they are through social media. But yeah, that's a really really powerful thing you just said, and you're right. It's like carving granite, not sitting here carving balsa wood or whatever. I mean, it's yeah, it's not easy.
No, no. That's why I say I have that T-shirt, that says, "If your life's boring, it's because you're boring. Life begins outside your comfort zone," and you've done that over and over. I've seen that. I'm sure you're about to give a talk. I know with me sometime with a large crowd, and the little version comes on, goes, "Who the hell are you to do this?" Oh, thank you
Right.
very much. Appreciate you looking out for me. I'm going on stage and make a difference in these people's
Yeah.
lives.
Yep, you're right. It always rears its ugly head when you don't expect it. It's up to you to, put it in its place.
I think that's the key, and this is what I really want to talk about: is how you did this and picked identity step into, and but that's different than it's done intentionally, and then you have to feed it, and then you have to collect evidence, and then one of my favorite quotes is you have to start going, "That's more like me." So Paul, you made an impact in a classroom. If you went, "I can't believe I did that," then it's going to go back to the old version of you versus you going, "Oh, that's more like me." See, we're feeding that committed identity, and we're building it. And it's a lifelong process. It's not black and white. Our little version will show up. Something new will occur. Oh, there's my friend again saying you're a worthless human being. Okay, there we are. Now, thank you for coming out visit. I must be in a new environment, and I need to get back to what I'm committed to here.
Exactly, exactly, exactly. You're exactly right, and it happens all the time, more than I want to admit. But you gotta really put it in its place, and have people around you that can help you at times put it in its place. A supportive wife, spouse, whatever, partner, friend, whatever that you can talk to. It's really, really important. But you hit it right on the head there with that.
This was delightful, and this is what I wanted to have this conversation, Paul. And I'd like you to just tell people a moment of how people can get in touch with you, how they can follow you. I mean, you've earned the right of a real channel with real quality content. You do one-on-one consulting. You've led a eBay support group for many years, and now it's you've transitioned it. How can they reach you, and how can they learn more about the great stuff you're doing?
Sure, wonderful. Thank you so much. And thanks for having me. I really, really appreciate it. This means a lot to me. They can reach me through my website, which is online selling success.com. I'm also, it's all on there, but I have a YouTube channel. It's just my name, Paul Appolonia, Apollonia, or email Paul period Apollonia, Apollonia at gmail.com. And yeah, that's about all my contact information. Yeah, that should be it.
Excellent. I'll put the links below and invite people to mention and follow you because you've really done amazing stuff. Also, want to brag, you've done a great job raising two wonderful kids, a great wife, too. Let's not, she's terrific as well. But I've gotten to know you long enough to see the great fathering you did with those kids and maneuvering them through whatever happens in life. And now you have a grandchild, and your
Yeah.
son's doing good, too. That's with your
Yeah.
daughter. So really, a lot of accomplishments, and we've got to own those. We got to let them in, and we have to go, yes, I did this. Okay. And then what's next? It's not sit on our laurels, because that's what keeps life exciting, by stepping out of our comfort zone to the next level.
Exactly. And also, like being grateful for what you have. And I don't mean like waking up every day going, I'm grateful I have a car. Well, okay. I mean being deeper than that, not just I'm grateful I have a roof over my head. That's all important, but you gotta, get other things to be grateful for too. That I know everybody has things they're grateful for in their life, no matter where you're at.
Sounds great, Paul. Thanks so much. This was delightful, and I know it will make a real difference in a lot of people's lives. And thanks for all that you're helping. I love eBay, and say hello to all those great people there. And just want to encourage, watch out for our training coming out on making money online while you sleep, but you have to be awake to start.
That's right. Well, wonderful. Thank you so much for having me. I really, really appreciate it.